Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this special show on the decision taken by the United States and the United Kingdom to ban electronic gadgets such as laptops on certain flights. The decision has surprised travelers as well as security experts. Why this sudden ban? And why is the ban not affecting laptops that are going for check-in in the baggage? To explain this today, I am joined by many guests. We have with us in our studio our technology correspondent Ankit Tuteja, our business chief correspondent Sumit Chaturvedi, who is here to explain the possible fallout on airline industry and the business side of the decision. And also joining us is our special guest Jasper Reed, who is a very frequent traveler himself. But first, let me tell you what the story is about. The United States and Britain have temporarily banned the carrying of electronic devices on planes coming from some airports in the Middle East and North Africa. The items banned include devices larger than a mobile phone such as laptops, tablets, portable DVD players and cameras. These items can be carried in checked-in baggage though. The United States ban applies to flights from 10 airports in 8 countries. The British ban affects all airports in Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, Tunisia and Turkey. The airlines affected includes Royal Jordanian, Egypt Air, Turkish Airlines, Saudi Arabian Airlines, Kuwait Airways, Royal Air Maroc, Qatar Airways, Emirates and Etihad Airways. There are reports saying that the ban follows security threats to airlines. There is fear nowadays that terrorists may use quote-unquote innovative methodologies to attack jets. The terror groups are believed to have tested such a device on a flight in Somalia last year. Intelligence agencies are also citing the terror attacks on airports in Brussels and Istanbul and the downing of a Russian airliner in Egypt in 2015. Our business correspondents Sumit Chaturvedi and Ankit Tuteja and the founder of WION and frequent traveler Jasper Reed are here with us. So Ankit, please help me to understand a little bit better the technicalities of this. So I understand that the mobile phones are actually not subject to this ban. So how is it that only laptops are feared to be possibly used by terrorists?
Okay, a very good question, Tanale. If you look at it, there have been situations where suspected bombers have carried explosive devices in laptops. So if you talk about the last year's incident, a suspected bomber was carrying explosive devices in a Somali jet passenger, and it led to a hole in the jet passenger, which led to an emergency landing. So these kind of situations are actually triggering or prompting the authorities to come up with such decisions. And also if you talk about the technicalities of it, so laptops and tablets are certain kind of devices that can be easily assembled into IED, improvised explosive devices. What they don't have is detonators and of course the explosive substance. So with these two substances, detonators and explosive substances, you can actually effectively assemble a laptop or tablet into an improvised explosive device. So this is the main reason that laptops and tablets are perhaps the only devices that have been banned. It's not only laptops and tablets, so basically the British authorities have come up with specifications that devices bigger than 6.3 inches cannot be carried on the plane. So that means you can carry your music player for that matter, you can carry your smartphone for that matter, because all the smartphones are lesser than, like 99% of the smartphones are lesser than 6.3 inches. So you can carry such devices, but that means the kind of devices that you cannot carry are your laptops, tablets for that matter, your portable DVD players, electronic games for that matter. And in fact, certain e-readers, because a lot of people spend their time on the plane reading e-books. But some devices, like some models of Amazon Kindle, are actually bigger than 6.3 inches. So these devices cannot be taken forward because the size matters. The smartphones and maybe these devices are not as powerful. They don't have all the components that can be turned into IEDs, improvised explosive devices.
You said very interestingly that size matters. So let me ask you this question. Let me toss you this question. if size matters, isn't even a mobile phone, a smartphone for that matter, possibly laden with explosive as dangerous as a laptop? And it could be actually carried on board.
Like you have to look at it this way. There are certain components that go into making a device. When we talk about smartphones, the machines, that components, that equipments that go into the smartphone are not as powerful as the ones that go into making tablets or laptops for that matter. Coming to the security inspection, for example, when you go through the security inspection, at some airports you are asked to actually switch on your phone so that you haven't tampered with your phone. But it's not the case with the laptops and anything else. Like, you are not always asked to switch on your laptop, and even if you are asked to, as I mentioned earlier, that there's certain component that can help you in actually converting them into IEDs. So this is the reason. And also, for example, when you're going through the security inspection, they have a device, they have a trace detector. That's a small wipe basically that can actually instantly detect like if you have explosives with you or not. And in case if it's booby trapped, if it's a hidden bomb, then these wipes, these small detectors can actually detect in 7 seconds for that matter that certain explosive have been used, or they can in fact trace the small minute details of the explosive that were, if it's booby trapped. So yeah, the security inspection process is also rigorous, and they can actually help in detecting if the smartphone has been tampered with in such case.
So most likely we will not be allowed, if traveling from one of these countries, whoever the citizen is, because I mean it's not connected to the nationality, but only if I am onboarding a flight from, let's say, Amman in Jordan and flying directly to the United States, we will not be able to carry our laptops on board, but we will be able to put them inside a baggage which will get checked in.
Right.
So could you please walk me through the security process when it comes to checked in baggages? Is that something we have to be afraid of? Is there something in place? How effective is this?
In fact, I'm really happy that you asked this question. So I would like to highlight a couple of things here. So when you talk about the check-in baggage, the check-in baggage goes through a sophisticated, a tougher security screening system. So the check-in baggage goes through a sophisticated screening test basically. And also, so these are like X-ray machines or ultrasound machines that we use in general life. They're far more, it's easy to spot basically the explosive if it's hidden in check-in baggage. And also, if you look at it, you are not supposed to carry it on the plane. Such baggage that you check in actually, they are put into the cargo. So human lives are not at risk in such a case. And also, they are not with you for the duration of flight that you are taking. And as I said, like, it's very difficult to spot the explosives or explosive substance if it's in the check-in baggage, because the machines are really advanced, they're really tech savvy, and it's very easy to spot on in such cases.
Just one more little thing, help someone who's maybe not as familiar as you with technology like me. Isn't it possible, isn't there the eventuality that a checked-in laptop is filled with explosive, and through my mobile phone while on flight I could actually blast it? Is it a possibility, or am I exaggerating?
Absolutely, it's a possibility. It's a possibility to detonate an explosive which is in the cargo and you are on the plane. But then it's very complicated. So it reduces the risk of actually having an explosive detonated. So yeah, but there is a possibility, absolutely.
Okay. And I mean, this sort of ban will probably affect many businessmen also, because we have to understand that from especially the Emirates, many businessmen fly pretty frequently to the US, to the UK. So as I understand, many of them actually work and use the time, the on-flight time, to work and keep working on their laptop. So Sumit, do you think they could decide to change their choice of airlines and maybe travel on an airlines which is not subject to the ban?
Absolutely, Daniel. Here I would like to point out that nowadays aviation is a very highly competitive business. Every airline wants to give some facility or something which is more attractive than the other airline. In that scenario, when some airlines are not allowed to are not allowing passengers to take laptops and tablets on board, they are surely going to be at a disadvantageous position. We estimate around 60 to 70% of the passengers, they have some kind of tablet or laptop with them. They may or may not use it, but they carry it with them. That way, it will come as a disadvantage to all of them, all the passengers. For them, these airlines will not be the flight of the first choice for them. Surely, it's going to impact the business of the airlines. If we simplify the airline business, it's kind of hub and spoke model. Like for instance, from India, 50% of the outbound passengers, when they go from India, they are taken by three major Gulf carriers: Qatar, Etihad, and Emirates. Here, all these three have been impacted a lot. So if in case 50% of this business is going to impact it somehow, it will come to Indian Airlines, who have direct flights to New York, who have direct flights to London, like Jet Airways and Air India. Certainly, they have a disadvantageous position, these airlines, these Emirates, Qatar, and Etihad, and they will impact the business. Also, these laptops and tablet are important part of the people who travel in business and first class. Obviously, there's a creamy layer. No airlines would like to have certain things which is damaging their creamy layer, that's impacting their business. So definitely, there's a big, huge business loss to these airlines which will come.
Good, right, very interesting. And keeping it on the business side. So I understand there have been rivalry or sort of rivalries in the past, and many of the, especially Gulf-owned airlines, have been accused by competitors because their government heavily support them, for instance, with discounted oil or even free oil. So in this ban, do you read as a business correspondent some sign of this rivalry, some sort of intention of the United States Airlines or the UK Airlines to convince passengers that they are better, that they have greater service than others?
Absolutely, Daniel. Everywhere in business, there are lobbying that happen. There are lobbies, okay. Last year, the US lobby, the American Airlines lobby, approached their government complaining against the Gulf-based carriers, saying they are heavily subsidized. So that's why the business of US carriers is coming down, because these Etihad, Emirates, and Gulf, these airlines, big airlines, are getting heavily subsidized ATF or aviation turbine fuel. This fuel constitutes 50% of the cost of an airline. And if that is subsidized, the Gulf airlines are booking heavy profits. On the other hand, US carriers are suffering losses or are not able to make as much profits as these Gulf air carriers are. So here the rivalry angle is very much there. Now, after this ban has been put into force, definitely the business would go to US-based carrier like American Airlines, Delta. The business would go to them, because from these countries, obviously a lot of people would like to book their seats in these America-based carriers. So definitely a business rivalry angle to it, and lobbying works everywhere, like here, like any part of the business.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Sumit. Often businessmen travel in business classes or in first class flight. They decide to spend and invest even a lot of money while they fly. So losing this segment of customers will be pretty impactful for airlines. Am I wrong if I say this?
Absolutely, because nowadays, like economy is some kind of cost that just completes the cost or help airlines meeting the cost. The real money comes from business class customers or first class customers. That's why we would see more and more airlines giving more and more benefits. Like if you talk about A380 came because the airline wanted to give more and more facilities to the first class customers. Here there's a creamy layer which would like to spend their money on everything. Also at a time when Wi-Fi, onboard Wi-Fi is becoming almost a standard thing. Yesterday, even Air India announced that they will provide Wi-Fi services on board, free Wi-Fi services on board. This will come as a surprise to many people who would like to use their Wi-Fi services on laptops or tablets. If they can't take it on board, what is the point of using the Wi-Fi services? So clearly, yes, there is a big loss to them, because a lot of business travelers or frequent flyers who travel in business on first class, they would like to be kind of put off by this thing, this kind of ban that they can't take their laptop or can't do their efficient business on board.
Right. And Jasper, as a frequent flyer yourself, is this ban going to be truly effective?
Well, everyone's going to have to keep flying, right? So they're going to find one way of doing it, whether they go with one carrier or another carrier. Speaking personally as a frequent flyer, there's a trade-off, right? If you believe there's a genuine threat, going on a carrier that lets you take a laptop on might be the ultimate of false economy, frankly. Now, there's another way of looking at it, and you and I were talking before, Daniel, which is before tablets, before laptops, what did anyone do? They talked to each other, they worked on notepads, they used their pen. So, you know, people are going to keep travelling, that's for sure. Maybe they'll change airlines, maybe they won't. But it might be a refreshing new way of thinking about your trip. Maybe time to think and not look at a tablet.
Which is not bad, maybe. Maybe we can use our on-flight time to speak and to talk to each other as it used to be when we were kids or way younger. One question to you, but this is open to everyone else also. As a frequent travelers, would you actually opt? Let's play with our imagination for a minute. So you need to fly from, let's say, New York to Jordan and from Jordan to New York. Let's prepare a hypothetical scenario. The cheaper flight is the one on an airline which actually is implementing this ban, and there is a more expensive flight on an airline which is not implementing this ban. As a traveler, what would you choose?
As I said before, Daniel, it could possibly be the worst, saving you ever made if you pick the wrong airline and some terrorist blows up their laptop. I think the truth of the matter is you look at airline statistics. It's the safest form of travel anywhere, even if you include terrorist events. So frankly, I think a lot of people just take a fatalistic view of stuff. Having said that, this is a hugely high-profile piece of news, right? So there's no question that if you're a carrier that doesn't have the ban, you might think about how it affects your business.
Ankit, your point of view on this?
I don't think it's going to affect me too much. Like, as a traveler, personally, I prefer giving myself a break from the work. So I either watch movie, I listen to music, or maybe I just sleep on the plane. So I prefer to not investing time in doing some work on the laptop, because that's the time that I actually want to enjoy. So as personally, it's not going to affect me if I talk about myself.
And Daniel, here, a point here is that what we are not clear about is that for how long this ban will be enforced. If it is a short-term thing, airlines would like to ignore that. If it is a long-term thing, airlines will have to sit down and devise some way so that people are still attracted to their airlines, they still fly in their airlines. And nothing stops them, again, coming back to your point, nothing stops these Gulf-based carriers from cutting down their fares. Aviation is a very competitive industry. These airlines, if the ban is long-term and it's proved that the ban is hurting their business, Emirates, Gulf, Qatar, they all can go and they can cut down their fares, which will make it more and more attractive to any kind of buyer. Anybody would like to save a couple of $100 rather than traveling without laptop or tablet. So it depends what kind of business strategy they will adopt. We assume that if it is a short-term ban, airlines can choose to ignore that. But if it is a long-term ban and it is really hitting their business very hard, airlines will sit down and will devise ways. They may go for new offers, new schemes. They may provide their own laptops. Remember, they can devise anything on the earth to attract customers. In business, customers and margins are very, very important.
Of course. It's business indeed. So you have to figure out some sort of plan to keep remaining attractive to your customers. And this is again a question I would like Jasper to answer, but it's always open to all of us. How truly important is a laptop or a tablet, for that matter, on your flights? You travel a lot, so do you really use it a lot? Does everyone uses it or not? Or is just something that we got used to because of the modern times and whatever?
Daniel, it's a really interesting question. So pretty much 100% of guys take on their laptop or tablet onto the aircraft. But the dirty secret, and Ankit's one of the guys that's chilling out, is that by observation, the vast majority of people are watching movies. When the wine comes around, they're having a glass of wine. It might be 10 in the morning, who knows? I'm one of the sad guys that kind of is always behind, so I'm forever catching up on stuff. But honestly, I'm sort of with Ankit. Use time to think creatively. Maybe talk to other people. Frankly, I hate other people talking to me, but maybe it's an opportunity to be more sociable. So, yeah, the proof is in the pudding, I think, here.
What about you?
Daniel, if you look at it from the work point of view, what is that thing that you can do on a laptop but you can't do it on your smartphone? So I can write articles as a journalist, I can write articles on my phone, I can watch movies, I can listen to music on my phone. So it's actually a total replacement of your laptop, barring the convenience. Of course, if I'm doing some mind-intensive work, I would like to have a keyboard, a proper keyboard and a big screen. But if I'm doing a work which is not like that as mind-intensive as it is, so I think I can do almost everything. 90% of work that I do on my laptop, I can easily do it on my phone. So it's not going to really affect as much as it looks it's going to affect.
I have a counterpoint here, Daniel. Over the last few years, the flying pattern has changed. Entertainment is very personal for us, and we are used to HD kind of quality even while traveling. So people, as we have noticed over the last few years, would like to take their own entertainment, their own collection, their own series, their own Netflix collection with them on flight, especially on the long flight, as I have suffered myself. If there is no HD screen available or the aircraft is old, then the screen is quite old. The collection is very bad. So for frequent flyers, they can easily, they would like to carry their own entertainment, especially laptops. It's not, that much easier, but in tablets, everybody would like to take their own entertainment with them, especially of HD quality, of other Blu-ray quality, or some other. In an aircraft, you are bound to watch whatever you are given, or it may be of bad quality. Looking at the frequent travelers would like to keep their entertainment with them, and these tablets and laptops are not just for work; they are for any number of things. And especially when I'm coming from the point of view of free Wi-Fi and these services, people would like to use these laptops and these things more and more, especially when there is net connectivity available on board, because people would like to get connected or remain connected to the people who are on ground. Phones can do it, but to a certain extent there are limitations. Perhaps that's why tablets were invented. That's why, because there's limitations to iPhone, there are limitations to other devices, small devices. Perhaps that's why these were invented. So that's why I will say that here the personal thing, when the personal entertainment and personal work or these things come, people will prefer their own tablets and not go with the airline entertainment system.
Which indeed
I would like to add something here. You talked about personalized experience, personalized devices. So if you look at it today, tablets and smartphones come up with better screens than the standard laptops, than the screens on the standard laptops.
Right.
And talking about the personalized entertainment, so Netflix today gives Android users the ability to download offline content to watch it in situations when there is no internet. So the companies are working really hard to make personalized experience, personalized entertainment even better. So you are not actually just stuck to watching on the screen that the flight has to offer.
Right, yes. Yes, indeed, it's very much connected with the business offer, again, as you were correctly saying before. Another question to you, Jasper, on a more serious and political note. This measure comes into being after the travel ban issued by President Donald Trump. Do you see any connection between the two measures?
I think that's impossible to comment on, particularly from someone like me. I mean, I think here one has to believe that, this is a serious policy. Presumably it's based on serious intelligence, and to that extent, it seems to be worth looking at. I mean, I have to say more broadly that if you're a frequent traveller, as we all are, you're used to these policies coming in. You've been used to it since 9/11. So I think people are pretty resilient, and in truth, these terrorist guys will come up with some other stunt in the future. They're always trying to get through the cage, and it's a kind of game of cat and mouse on that front. So to answer your question, I don't know, but are we going to have to get used to new policies coming in for a very long time? I think so.
We'd better do, indeed. If it is for our security at the end of the day, we'd better do.
Yeah, well, that's right, isn't it? I mean, of course, the irony there is, as I said before, it's an incredibly safe form of travel, even if you take the, the terrorist security risks.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me in this discussion, in this very interesting discussion. We will see what will happen. Thank you very much to all of you for joining us. It is time for us to wrap it up. Thank you.